Good morning. My name is Carly Baker Betancourt, and my pronouns are she and her. I am a worship associate and a member of the Unitarian Universalist Area Church at First Parish in Sherburne. Welcome to this loving community. Come in bringing all of who you are. We gather in worship, our hearts alive with hope that here we will truly be seen. Turn down the volume on your fears and loosen the armor around your heart. May we root ourselves in the values of this faith: acceptance and encouragement, compassion and transcendence, justice and transformation. We strive not for perfection, but for authenticity and connection. We come here to learn about being in relationship together, to listen, to forgive, to be vulnerable, to create trust, and to have compassion for one another. We are gathered here to walk each other home. Be here in this moment, let go, breathe.
Morning, everybody. I'm Reverend Nathan, I'm one of your ministers. It's a little cloudy out, but it is warm, you guys. Yesterday was beautiful. It's been such a long crawl to spring, hasn't it? Yeah, look, we got beautiful flowers this morning by Kathy Healy. And I'm matching in blue. You can see my socks later if you'd like to. Just ask to see them. Anyway, it's good to be with you. Let's say good morning to our friends who are watching from afar. To our camera up there. Good morning, everybody from afar. Just the usual gentle reminders of stuff happening. If you'd like me to read one of our prayer cards, it's just over there in the basket. Put them in the basket, and I will do that during our prayer time. We always need and want you to sign, to sign your name to either to bring flowers or to light the chalice. There's plenty of open dates. What are there? Plenty of? Yeah, and the sign-up list is right over here. Thanks for asking. It's right here to my left. If you're a newcomer, we'd love to have you, just check in with us. And if you'd like to receive the weekly email, it's in a blue card. Folks want to hold those up that are in the pew. Just put that, you'll see them there. Put it in the welcome basket as it swings by you later on in the service. As always, our young people, our kids are welcome to stay in the sanctuary. There's a family area that's in the back with a bunch of toys. You can also listen in the library because we have a speaker in there that you can hear. And our nursery is open for kids under 3. And also, our young people are welcome to go to faith formation classes after India does our Wonderbox time. 2 short announcements, updates. One is our Good as New shop, the longest running consignment store in the entire world. Is open this Wednesday from 10 until 6. Right? And these all volunteers, most of whom are our folk here, it's just incredible. And then it's also going to be open next Sunday after worship for those of you who'd like to shop for Mother's Day. In case this is just a public announcement. If you had forgotten it's Mother's Day and it's celebrated, that is coming up, okay? So you can shop for that next Sunday after worship. It's Music Sunday next week too. Okay, and if you didn't read your weekly email, which I'm sure doesn't happen here, I'm talking mainly to the people that are not here, who didn't read the weekly email, you would have seen the news that our beloved India Wood, who's up in our tech station right now. India, you can just wave like higher so people can't see your hand. Yep, that's like a queen wave. You were doing like the, India's been our youth coordinator for the last 6 years. And she is moving to New York City over the summer. And yes, I know. And so India's going to be with us until the end of the church year in June. So we have lots of time to give her our love. And you're just going to be deeply, deeply missed. Yeah? Okay. I invite us now to offer our greetings to a neighbor we have not said good morning to yet.
shine goes everywhere. Its temple, all space. Its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth. Its ritual works of love.
I invite us to say together our opening words. These are from Hafiz. We have not come here to take prisoners, but to surrender ever more deeply to freedom and to joy. Run, my dear, from everything they may not strengthen your precious budding wings. We have a duty to befriend those aspects of obedience that stand outside our house and shout to our reason, oh, please, come out and play. For we have not come here to take prisoners or to confine our wondrous spirits, but to experience ever and ever more deeply our divine courage, freedom, and light.
Well, I first came up here to get a battery for the microphone, and then remembered I do have something to say. And the batteries are gone, so I'm going to take a little trip after this. Our first hymn today is that up here? Yep, 153, Oh, I Woke Up This Morning. And this is a hymn, like a bunch of ours in our hymnal, that came from African American traditions. I can't find it whether this is a gospel or a spiritual, which basically is just determined by how old it is. But it originated as one of those, and when it was sung as one of those, the words were, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Jesus. And then in the 1960s, a preacher in Illinois was imprisoned as part of the civil rights protests, and going on at the time was prisoned because of those, and the freedom rides. And he changed the words for himself and what he was experiencing in that moment. And it caught on. It was a big song in the civil rights era. And that's the form that has come down to us. But so I think it's just important to remember that these were words, either version, created by people struggling for freedom, struggling during oppression, and to keep that in your hearts when you sing this song. Please join. So please rise in body or spirit and join in singing.
Fantastic. Invite us to stay raised, stay risen, as we invite Elizabeth Bilodeau to come forward to light our chalice, and we say together our covenant, both our expressions of our life and our faith here in this community. And let us say together, love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you. Please be seated. And I'd love to invite our young people, our young at heart, to come forward with, actually going to come forward today with India Wood, who I just told you about, because she's going to share our Wonder Box today. We really, India, need to get a zip line from the choir loft down to here.
Hi, everybody. So good to see all your faces. Yeah, come settle in. So for those of you who don't know me, I think a lot of you might, my name is India. I use she, her, hers. I'm usually up there during worship, but sometimes I come down here. And you may have heard that I am leaving at the end of this year. So I just wanted to express a lot of gratitude to all of you and all of you. This community has been really, really meaningful to me, so thank you. So we're going to do the Wonder Box today, but before we open the box, I have a question for you all. This past week has been a holiday for a lot of folks. Does anyone know what holiday it's been? Yeah. Yes, Passover, that is correct. So Passover is a Jewish holiday, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about it. But Jews all over the world during Passover come together and they come to have a dinner together called a Seder. And I'm not going to explain exactly what a Seder is because the one that I go to every year is 5 hours long. And Nathan told me I only have 5 minutes, so I can't get into it. But Seder means order in Hebrew, and it's all about recounting the story of Exodus. Who has heard of Exodus before? Raise your hands. A few of us, yeah. Maybe some of you are in Babylonian, maybe? So Exodus is a story about this guy named Moses. Who's heard of Moses? Okay, we've heard of Moses. That's great news. And Moses was asking Pharaoh, who was the ruler of Egypt, he was asking Pharaoh a very simple but important question. But it wasn't really a question, it was more like a demand. What did Moses say to Pharaoh? On 3, everybody say it. 1, 2, 3. Let my people go. Wow, you all know the story. See that? That's amazing. So Passover is a celebration, a reminder to the Jewish people of their liberation from enslavement in Egypt. And Moses said this thing to Pharaoh. He said, "Let my people go." And something I've been hearing a lot recently from some folks is this phrase. It's not "let my people go," but I have been hearing that a lot recently. It's this phrase, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. What the heck do I mean when I say that? What I mean is that I'm never going to be standing in front of you, the exact same group of people, saying the exact same words ever again, right? This is never going to happen exactly the same way. But sometimes history happens, And it looks really similar to the things that have happened in the past, right? So something can look kind of like the wonder box that I gave a few weeks ago, right? So we hear these words, let my people go. Can anybody tell me, anybody in history who has ever said something like, let my people go? Yeah. Martin Luther King Jr., yeah, he said something very similar to that. What else? Who else said something similar to let my people go? Anybody in the audience? People in history? Not just Martin Luther King, I promise. Sorry? Zelensky right now, absolutely. What else? Who else? Desmond Tutu, Gandhi, love that. Who else? Mandela, absolutely. I wrote myself a little list. Got to refer to the script. Yeah, so Malcolm X, Sojourner Truth, Abraham Joshua Heschel, Mandela, Gandhi. Anybody else that we can think of? Sorry? Lincoln? Sure, yeah. Anyone else? Yeah, a lot of folks have said something very similar, something that rhymes with let my people go. And were they the only people in those times that were saying it, or did they have help? Were other people saying those things too? Yeah. Even with Moses, his brother and sister, Miriam and Aaron, they were helping him say to Pharaoh, let my people go. Okay, I think it is now time to open the Wonder Box. Who would like to open it for me? Yeah, go for it. Actually haven't checked what's in it. I'm trusting that Sarah put in what I wanted her to. Okay, lift it up really high for everybody. Oh, shocker, yeah. Who knows what this is? Yeah. It's matzah. Whoever here has tried matzah before? Wow. And do you think it's the bread of affliction based on its taste? Me too. Yeah, so for those who have never had the pleasure of eating matzah, maybe you've never had the pleasure of eating it for a whole week instead of any leavened bread, you might know that it tastes not that great. And matzah is a food that a lot of Jews around the world eat for the whole week of Passover to remind them that when they were fleeing from the land of Egypt, when they were getting out of there to get their liberation, they didn't have time to let the bread rise, so they had to cook the matzah on their backs as they fled the land of Egypt. And it's a reminder to the Jewish people that with liberation, with dissent, with saying no really, really loud, sometimes comes a lot of struggle and suffering. So when we eat matzah, we're reminded of that struggle and reminded to stay humble. That's so, so important. Reminded to stay humble. So as I said, we know that history does not repeat itself. It often rhymes, though. And recently we've been seeing a lot of protests all over the place of people demanding liberation, right? We know that history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And so my ask of you all is to remember that struggles for liberation, it ties all of us together. We've all fought for it at some point. And that we can only fight for it when we have other people supporting us, like Moses had Aaron and Miriam. So I invite you all to think of the ways that you support other people in their liberation as we sing our young people out.
Friends, let me invite us to take a breath. And let us find ourselves within ourselves. Let's notice our bodies, the heart that is beating within us, the breath that is in our lungs. the emotions that are here on our lips and in our hearts. Here now we invite ourselves to be centered into this time of stillness and meditation and prayer, this time that so often does not happen during the busyness of our weeks. Our prayer hymn this morning for this month of April is "A Voice Still and Small." I invite us to sing or simply to listen. And let us give this time for attention, this time of prayers that you have given us to share in our midst of this community of care. This from Gail, prayers for Brittany, that her cancer can be cured. A prayer for our beloved Joan, who is one of our members and also one of the folks who volunteers at our Good as New shop, who has been struggling with an injury for quite a long time now and is watching from home. Our heart is with you. I invite us to say the name of somebody that you are holding in your heart this morning. Say it aloud, that can be held in the care of this sanctuary. For all these names, we light a candle. As you look out our clear windows, these windows are a reminder that we seek sanctuary not from the world, but for the world. There's so many things happening in our world in this season of spring. These prayers for all the student protesters using their First Amendment rights to stand against genocide in Palestine, especially the 108 Emerson students arrested earlier this week for peacefully protesting. Another for all those who suffer from addiction to alcohol or drugs. Don asks a prayer for all of those who are suffering here in this season. And Tim Roper invites us to look back to the Midwest for those who are suffering after devastating tornadoes in Nebraska and other parts of the South and Midwest over the weekend. Friends, for all of these places, we light a candle. And last but never least, our gratitudes. How often do we kind of go through life and forget to say, boy, that's terrific that this happened, right? Right? So today, later on this afternoon, I get to attend the installation of our long ago intern, now long ago, Stephanie May, who's being installed at the First Church in Boston in the Back Bay. She was in Wayland for, 11 years, and she is getting installed there, so I will be there with her. We also have today, after worship, I think at 1 o'clock, the Our Whole Lives class, which is our curriculum for healthy relationships and healthy sexual education. We have 14 kids who are graduating from that. And the teachers and the volunteers who made it happen, and all the families that, because kids maybe don't necessarily want to come to that class every Sunday for 2 hours after worship, but they did. Every single one of those kids and those families made it happen. So I just want to offer a big gratitude to all of them. That curriculum is invaluable for young people. We have our beautiful flowers from Kathy Healy, and Alyssa invites us to just praise the gorgeous spring bulbs. Thank you, Alyssa. And last but never least, Hank Roush, a big happy birthday belated from the 26th to his wife, Susan. I love you. Happy birthday, Susan. We light a candle. Thanks, Alan. Friends, let us pray together. Dear God of our many names and our no names, the force of love that lives beneath us and between us and above us and all around us, even when we doubt sometimes where and how that love gets expressed. This is a season of re-emergence into the world. And as we come out of our homes and our closed doors and we open the windows and we do the spring cleaning, we notice and we see and we hear all of those people who are asking about freedom, who, as India said, are rhyming with the history that goes through thousands of years that says, "Let my people go." Our work here, as it always is to stay awake, to lean in rather than away, to not always distract, and to pay attention to the people and the voices and the demands. Let us be held together in stillness.
Our reading this morning comes from a Passover Haggadah, the liturgy that is followed for the Seder, the ceremonial feast, observing one of the most significant events and ideas in Jewish history, and the Jewish people's struggle for freedom and their God's role in their history. On the first page of the Haggadah, these words: "Remember the day on which you went forth from Egypt, from the house of bondage, and how God freed you with a mighty hand." On the second page, these words: "Our story tells us that in diverse ways, with different words, God gave promises of freedom to our people." On the sixth page, "Let all who are hungry come and eat. Let all who are in want share the hope of Passover. As we celebrate here, we join with people everywhere." And on the 29th page, as the wine at the Seder table is poured, these words: "Each drop of wine we pour is hope and prayer that people will cast out the plagues that threaten everyone, everywhere they are found, beginning in our own hearts." And finally, these words of promise: "Let us rejoice at the wonder of our deliverance, from bondage to freedom, from agony to joy, from mourning to festivity, from darkness to light, from servitude to redemption. Before God, let us ever sing a new song. We will not die, but live."
If you have been coming here for a while, you know that every single week, every single Sunday, we give our offering. We offer 100% of those funds entirely away from this church. And we do this because of your generosity. And that happens all kinds of ways, you guys. And one of the ways that it happens, of course, is stewardship and pledge, these words that don't come up very often in the common parlance of everyday language. A pledge is a promise. It's a promise of financial stewardship that you make to UUAC. And just by the way, if you make a pledge right now, I will give you a candy afterwards. But also, it doesn't mean that you have to pay that whole thing in one chunk. That pledge is basically from July 1st of 2024 all the way until June 30th of 2025. How did it get to be 2025, you guys? So everyone has different capacities in our community. We are a diverse community of economic means in all kinds of ways. But it is your way to say, my church is my home. Anyway, I just went on a tangent. Kevin, our finance guy, is very happy with me. But we do this because we're able to give away these resources every week. And this morning's offering is going to be shared with the Massachusetts Bail Fund. Let me tell you what this does. So when someone is arrested, a bail commissioner at a police station or a judge at a courthouse decides whether or not the individual will be required to provide money that will ensure that they return to court. This money is called bail. If they cannot afford it, they will be held in jail until the case is over. So according to Massachusetts law, bail is meant to ensure that people return to court. All right, you with me? The bail amount is set by the judge does not always reflect the seriousness of the charge. Low bail can be set on a number of charges, including felonies. So a group of defense attorneys and social workers noticed that it was instead keeping their clients behind bars. Many of the clients, listen to this, were spending months or years awaiting the conclusion of their cases because they could not afford bail. Sometimes that amount was $25. So as a result, the clients were forced out of their homes, their jobs, their communities, and making effective representation and treatment increasingly difficult for them. So this bail fund was set up to basically address this inequity. All the funds that you donate today are going to help folks in that situation. So I invite you to be as generous as you can. You can give old-fashioned cash, and you can also see the QR code if you'd like to use your phone. Thank you. And we're about to hear the most beautiful song in the world, so I invite you just to lean back and listen.
Good morning. Well, they killed their houses in preparation for the king, and they lined the sidewalks with every sort of shiny things. They will be surprised, and we hear him say, take me to the alley, take me to the afflicted ones, take me to the lonely ones that somehow lost their way, and let them hear me say, I am your friend. Come to my table and rest here in my garden, and you will have a pardon, and you will have a pardon. Take me to the alley, and take me to the afflicted ones, and take me to the lonely ones that somehow lost their way, and let me hear them say, I am your friend. Come to my table and rest here in my garden, and you will have a pardon, and you will have a pardon. They will be surprised when they hear him say, Take me to the alley. Take me to the afflicted ones. Take me to the lonely ones that somehow lost their way. And let me hear them say, I am your friend. Come to my table and rest here in my garden. You will be a pardon. You will have a pardon. Take me to the alley. Take me to the afflicted ones. Take me to the lonely ones that somehow lost their ways. Let me hear them say, I am your friend. Come to my table and rest here in my garden, and you will have a pardon. You will have a pardon.
As I remind us every week, I'm privileged to share sermons with us. Here's our world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen. Let us keep our hearts tender, our eyes soft, and our words true, and our songs beautiful. This is what you and I are about. We know there's no answer but to love one another. We bear witness against destruction. And then we gather here in community to practice being the person that we look in the mirror and say, I want to do better. Cannot do everything, but we can do something, and that something is never, never, never nothing. So as Leonard Cohen reminds us, let us ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. Invite us to stay together. That is how the light gets in. So you guys, the day was on, of all days, April Fool's Day. It was the day after Easter. And it was a week before the eclipse journey that I told us about last Sunday. And if you're thinking, Nathan's sermons always seem to talk about his experiences or his travels. And the reason I do that, it's because I believe that if the Holy speaks to us at all in life, it is through our experiences, our hurts, our hopes, our adventures, our boredoms, our Monday morning blahs, and our aha moments that the Holy speaks. That's what I believe. And by the way, you know what that means? It means that our work is to pay attention and to listen. It's interesting to me that I hear all the time people try to tell us what the devil is, or what the enemy is, or what the sin in the world is, and then go on to name conveniently the people that they think they don't like very much. Have you noticed that? Like kids these days, or TikTok, or sexual identity, or gender identity. Anyway, I think one of the biggest things that we struggle with, if our, enemy is anywhere, it is distraction. That's what I feel to be true. It's distraction. Okay. Tangent number 1, Nathan. So I'm heading north on 495, and I'm trying to get to Route 2. And despite what I just told us, I'm totally distracted. Because Waze, which is my preferred directional driving app, mainly because it isn't Google, which I spend all week wrestling with on Google Drive or Gmail, or confirming yet again, yes, Google, it's me, just like it was yesterday. I'm the same person. I'm not an imposter. Waze is freaking out, and now I'm freaking out because it's telling me that traffic has suddenly changed and I should go on some circuitous backroad situation to avoid cars and other people. It turns out, by the way, that Waze and I, both of us, are introverts. And then it's telling me that I will not arrive at my destination in time. Have you ever noticed that when you do that? It's like, I left on time, and then now it's suddenly the time is expanding. And somehow you're going backward in your life, but you're at the same moment. And I can't be late because it's an important day. Okay? A car passes me on my right. Now, that's the slow lane. Right? Right? Okay, this is the DMV now. This is not church. That's the slow lane, you guys. Don't pass people on the right. And it's got a big placard in the rear view, window. So you can't even, the guy can't even see out the back of it. And it says, choose freedom, not fear, for their preferred candidate, 2024 candidate of choice. Now, is fear a choice we make, or is it an emotion that, when in check, keeps us safe? These platitudes frustrate me. Tangent number 2. And then on my left, which is the passing lane, I'm not going slow, okay? Another car passes me, and it's got a personalized plate that says Blueberry. It's a blue Subaru. Come on, Blueberry. Warm up the crowd, folks. Let's go. Somebody spent a lot of money on that. And they're from New Hampshire. So, of course, above the personalized plate, what does it say? Live free or die. You guys know that more than you know what Moses was talking about. Right, India? Anyway, okay. So it seems that freedom is the word of the day on April Fool's, doesn't it? Actually, I was working on my little homilet, which just means it's longer than usual. And I was thinking how this is the season for freedom. Just this week, that one of the prayer cards mentioned, India, you mentioned, was it 108 students were arrested at Emerson Thursday night, and then yesterday morning, a bunch more at Northeastern. They were all arrested for asking for liberation for Palestinians in Gaza, as we know. And then Israel says in response, we want freedom from Hamas, we want freedom from terror. Everyone is using that word, yeah? And then Jews and others this week, as Indy talked about and as Alan beautifully read from the Haggadah, the Seder table that is all about what in capital letters? Freedom. And it says, as Alan said, remember the day on which you went forth from Egypt, from the house of bondage, and how God freed you with a mighty hand. And then on the very second page, it says, our story tells us that in diverse ways, with different words, you could say rhymes with history, God gave us promises of freedom to our people. And then just this week at MIT, I saw that a bunch of Jewish students invited into their tent a bunch of people to have a Seder in the tent in the middle of the yard, reminding us that you can be Jewish and you can still protest state actions of Israel. It's not an either-or situation, okay? So freedom is on our lips. It's on our lips. And because, the headlines allow us to forget all the other stuff that's going on in the world, doesn't it? We're reminded, of course, that lest we move on to other places, how Ukraine still fights for freedom from Russia. The war going on for more than 2 years, February 24th, 2022. The country losing so many soldiers that they've lowered the conscription age to 25, and they've asked every Ukrainian male to come home who might have left the country. Imagine that your birthday is tomorrow and you're going to be 25. Imagine all the things that you might be feeling. I bet you want to choose freedom, but I bet you also feel so much fear. Mr. Sign in the back of your car. Okay. So it might seem a little trivial, Nathan, or small for me as the red lights glow through the gloom of early April in the morning on April Fool's Day. And my arrival time lengthens and lengthens and lengthens. It might feel trivial for me to feel a little boxed in, a little imprisoned, a little less free by the traffic, and feel urgent to find a route that will free me so that I can arrive where I need to be. Because today, as I told us earlier, is a very important day. And one reason it is important is that Shahid, will you say the name with me? Shahid cannot get free until Ted and I, who are representing our church community as part of our mentoring team, partakers team, along with Matt Andrus, who is here. We've been with him for over a year as he's gotten his college degree at Tufts, his first person in his family to get his college degree. He can't get free until we show up to sign him out for parole. So you see what I'm saying, right? It's kind of important that we're there on time because he's like, I don't know where these dudes are. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of traffic, maybe. He's been in Concord Prison. That's why I was going to Route 2 for 15 years. Okay? He earned his parole. Well, first let me tell you, he can't go on parole until we're there to pick him up. We have to sign him out, and then Ted has to take him directly to his parole officer, and then straight from there to his new transitional housing, which is in the Fenway. And then after that, he's got to look for a job. He's got to get a job within a month. He's got to take classes to re-enter society. He's got to connect to other newly paroled men. He's got to reconnect with his family. He has 2 kids who are late teens, early 20s. He's got to learn how to use a smartphone. He's got to find out where the nearest mosque is. He converted to Islam during his time in prison. He's got to figure out where the Target is so he can buy shampoo and Q-tips and seltzer. And he's got to figure out how to sign up for health care. And then he's got to go see the dentist, and then he's got to get an ID card. You know, all this stuff that you and I, we read the list, we're like, oh my God, I got so many errands to do this week. It's killing me. I have no space in my life. I have no freedom. I have no freedom. I got to do a bunch of errands. But for him, this is the fabric of liberation. These tasks, aren't they? Aren't they? So, I think that was tangent number 6. Anyway, Concord Prison, you may have learned, is closing this summer. There are fewer inmates. That is a good thing. It's also because the entire building is falling around around them. It was built in 1878. And it's been updated, but not really, over the years. It's old, it's tired. But for Shahid, and I listened to him, Matt and I did, and the other inmates, you guys, it's like home in a way. It's like home, because it's what he knows. So when news broke that it was closing on the night that I was there for his graduation from Tufts University in the hall, in the basketball court of the prison, that night everybody learned that the prison was closing. And these guys would be scattered across all the other facilities in the state. Shahid told me there was no other word other than loss. And mainly because it meant that all those guys who got close to each other would just be dispersed, right? And that friends would no longer be together. It's another feature of freedom that goes unremarked on in the platitudes and the placards of people's cars is how freedom means that you get to stay in relationship or not with people of your own choosing. You get to move on when you're ready to move on, like India gets to go to New York City because of great opportunity. That's freedom. I only name all this because one of the things that Shahid and working with folks like him has taught me, I mentored along with many others, Daniel, for many, many years before Shahid, is how much of my liberty I take for granted. You guys take your liberty for granted? I get distracted. We get distracted from so many of the limits of our life, little and large, that we've got going on, but sometimes it just helps me to get reminded of how emancipated we actually are, depending on our location, our socioeconomic status, the kind of support systems that we have. So, a couple weeks prior to this, April Fool's Day, Matt and Ted and I learned that Shahid was moved from the big facility, Route 2, across Route 2 to the lower security place. It's actually called a farm. There's a farm there. But it's not like other farms, because when you drive up the drive, there's big signs that tell you you're on state property. And you had better have official business or you better turn around. That's not like a lot of farms, is it? No. There's also a big camera. And it really is amazing, as I drove up this drive that's got like potholes all over the place, like the state has not invested in these places, because you know what? It's not popular with the votes, is it? Is it? Knowing that for the first time in years and years and years, Shahid is about to get into Ted's car and have no one watching him. It's interesting to me as I drive up just how much the stresses and strains of my life, paying the this semester for my daughter's college, and I always got health anxiety going on, so I stress about like my regular physical and like the mulch I got to put down. Like, oh my God, I have so much to do, and I just get so in my head. Do you guys get in your heads? And when I drive up this drive, it just kind of all falls away. It falls away because it really helps to think less of ourselves sometimes and to get proximate to someone else's life. I believe that our souls are meant for service. I believe that when I get so caught up with myself, what I really need to do is go do something for somebody else. That's what I believe. So, make it up the drive. Ted comes right after me. We're waiting, and it's not a parking lot. It's just like a sort of a parking lot. It's still cold out. It's been such a resistant spring. Can you imagine it with me? There's like a big barn over there. There's institutional housing right in front of us. There's a few guards mingling about. But Shahid is going to be in full bloom. Why is he about to be in full bloom, even though nothing has been a bud yet? Why? Freedom. You know what it is? You know what his day? It's not April Fool's Day, is it? It's Freedom Day. It's Parole Day. Brian's singing the song. He's singing the song. He doesn't know who Gregory Porter is. It's Freedom Day for Shahid. And finally, we see him rolling this giant laundry bin up around this like dead azalea. You know, can you imagine like those big laundry bins, right? And next to him is his escort guard, and inside the bin are every single thing that he owns in his life. Now, I feel about this way when I look into my basement or my garage. It's like, oh, the tyranny of stuff. I'm so imprisoned by all my stuff. You guys ever say that to yourself? No, you know, it's true. It's right. However, when all you own is in a bin on wheels and the clothes are prison issued, all I'm saying is there's a balance to be struck with our complaints. But listen, this is it. This is the day. This is Freedom Day. Can you imagine all the things that Shahid must have been feeling that day? Relief, exhale, breath, release, worry. Like, will I get a job? Will my kids be happy to see me? Will I like my new housemates? How am I going to reconnect to family and friends? Where's the target? How am I going to learn how to use this technology? Oh my God, I get to try all this food. Praise Allah. Anyway, all the worries can wait because Shahid has earned this moment, all him. He earned his parole. You guys, Matt and Ted and I, last August during this most hellacious rainstorm, were over off Route 9 in Natick for his parole hearing for over 2 hours as he was interviewed. But he wasn't interviewed. He was interrogated for over 2 hours by the team of people who were charged with deciding whether he will continue in prison or he will be released. And he handles himself with aplomb and grace and fortitude and courage and honesty and self-reflection. I don't think I could do that. Right, Matt? It was amazing. So he did awesome. So imagine he's got this big smile as he comes around the dead azalea, and we get out of our car fast to meet him, and we have moved on long ago from handshakes to hugs, to big giant hugs. Men, we can hug. And I pull out my phone for a photo op, but the guard says, "No pictures on state property." Okay. What are you going to do? Anyway, so he piles into Ted's car. I get in my car. We go back down the totally destroyed driveway, and Shahid has got prison in the rear view mirror and freedom in the front windshield. And as soon as we get across the line at the drive, literally the line that says you are left state property, I get out my phone and I say, "Shahid, let's take a selfie." And he goes, "A selfie?" And I said, "Yeah, you'll learn. It's a lot of weird words these days. You'll get used to it, or maybe you won't, and that'd be pretty great if you didn't." And then we took this photo. Our souls are hungry for service. It's really good to get proximate to somebody else's life, isn't it? And Brian sang the song, this Gregory Porter song that I had heard years ago. And he's talking in the song, Gregory, is these lyrics about, I think it's Jesus. And they've lined the roads with all the kinds of fanfare and jewels and big fancy stuff. And I guess Jesus in the song says, no, 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 no. Take me to the alley. Take me to the back road. Get me off the main path. Let ways take me to the back roads. Take me to the afflicted ones. Let them hear us say that we are their friend. Rest here in the garden. You will have pardon. Yeah? Now, when you look at this photo, you hear the lyrics, it's easy for you to think, for me to think, oh, it's obviously that Shahid is the one that's getting pardoned, right? Naturally. We're all free. But maybe also it is us when Freedom Days like this, they actually help us get out of our own boxes and stand on the side of those who are still imprisoned. They help us get out of our own cells and help us stand on the side of those who are looking for some emancipation. There are so many, many, many people and places who are crying out for exactly this moment. Exactly this moment. Our work is to not get distracted and to pay attention to their stories and maybe ask, how can I serve? How can I go down the driveway with them for a little while and move toward Freedom Day? Well, Shahid, my brother, praise. Amen, everybody. We have a terrific, I've gone on even longer than last week, but it's good, right? It's all good. Let us sing together, Circle Round for Freedom. It's a great hymn. Ask about my blue socks too. You'll see those on the way out. Rise in body or spirit. After our post-lead, a reminder to join us in fellowship downstairs for coffee hour. If you kind of feel like, yeah, I don't really want to do that, I get it. But there's coffee, there are a couple snacks, and there are people that maybe actually need to be in conversation with you who need to feel a little bit less alone. So go for yourself, but stay for somebody else. That's what we do here in community. As we say together, our call to ministry. We go forth into the world in peace to act with works of love, to affirm each person's dignity, and to cherish our living earth. Our benediction from Gregory Porter. Well, they gild their houses in preparation for the king and line the sidewalks with every sort of shiny thing. They will be surprised when they hear him say, "Take me to the alley. Take me to the afflicted ones. Take me to the lonely ones that somehow have lost their way. Let them hear me say, I am your friend. Come to the table. Rest in my garden. You will have pardon." Amen.